Imagine a world where China, not Britain, led the Industrial Revolution. In the 1700s, this wasn't just possible, it was expected. China had dominated global manufacturing for centuries, producing silk, porcelain, and tea that the world craved. Yet by the 1800s, everything changed. The Qing Dynasty, ruling from 1644 to 1912, presided over the world's largest economy for most of its existence. Under emperors like Kangxi and Qianlong, China reached unprecedented heights of prosperity and cultural achievement. But beneath this golden surface, tectonic shifts were occurring. While China perfected traditional crafts, Europe was undergoing a revolution. In Britain, James Watt's steam engine, patented in 1769, began transforming every aspect of production. Factories replaced workshops, machines replaced hands, and productivity exploded. European traders and missionaries brought news of these developments to China. They demonstrated steam engines, showed mechanical clocks, and offered scientific knowledge. But the Qing court viewed these innovations with suspicion, not excitement. Why did China reject industrialization? The first reason was cultural. Confucian philosophy valued stability, tradition, and harmony with nature. Machines that disrupted social order and polluted environments were seen as barbaric, not progressive. The second reason was political. The Qing Dynasty, led by Manchu rulers, feared that technological change could empower Han Chinese merchants and challenge their authority. Maintaining control mattered more than economic growth. Third, China's economic system worked too well. Traditional agriculture and handicrafts produced enormous wealth without machines. Why fix what wasn't broken? This complacency became a fatal trap. Emperor Qianlong's famous 1793 letter to Britain's King George III reveals this mindset. "We have never valued ingenious articles," he wrote, "nor do we have the slightest need of your country's manufactures." This wasn't just pride, it was a fundamental misunderstanding. Meanwhile, Britain's Industrial Revolution created military technology that would prove decisive. Steam-powered warships could travel against wind and tide. Rifled muskets fired farther and more accurately than matchlocks. Artillery became mobile and devastating. The technological gap became painfully clear during the First Opium War, 1839–1842. British steam-powered gunboats, the Nemesis and others, could navigate Chinese rivers that traditional ships couldn't. They bombarded coastal cities with impunity. Chinese forces, still using Ming-era cannons and matchlock muskets, were hopelessly outmatched. British troops with modern rifles could pick off defenders from distances where Chinese weapons couldn't reach. The imbalance was shocking. After their defeat, some Qing officials recognized the problem. Lin Zexu, who had led anti-opium efforts, wrote, "We should learn the superior skills of the barbarians to control them." But conservative forces blocked meaningful reform. The self-strengthening movement, beginning in the 1860s, represented China's belated attempt to catch up. Factories were built, arsenals established, and students sent abroad. But it was too little, too late, and hampered by corruption. More fundamentally, China tried to adopt Western technology without changing its institutions. They wanted machines without the science, factories without the capitalism, weapons without the military reforms. This half-measure approach failed. Japan, watching China's humiliation, learned a different lesson. After Commodore Perry's 1853 arrival, Japan launched the Meiji Restoration, fully embracing Western technology and institutions. By 1895, Japan would defeat China in war. The consequences of China's technological lag were catastrophic. The century of humiliation saw foreign powers carve China into spheres of influence. Unequal treaties stripped sovereignty. Millions died in conflicts and famines. Economically, China fell from the world's largest economy to one of the poorest nations. While Western living standards rose dramatically, most Chinese remained in poverty. The gap that opened in the 1800s would take a century to close. Could things have been different? Absolutely. Chinese inventors had created advanced technology for centuries. Water-powered machinery, blast furnaces, and precision instruments existed. The knowledge base was there. Some historians point to specific moments when China nearly embraced change. In the 1720s, Emperor Yangzheng showed interest in Western science. In the 1790s, some officials proposed learning from European manufacturing. Each time, traditionalists prevailed. The fundamental problem was mindset. China saw itself as the Middle Kingdom, the center of civilization. Learning from barbarians was unthinkable. This cultural confidence became arrogance, then blindness. Contrast this with Europe's approach. European nations competed fiercely, copying and improving each other's innovations. This competitive environment accelerated progress. China, without serious competitors, stagnated. The Qing Dynasty's educational system reinforced this stagnation. The imperial examination focused entirely on Confucian classics, not mathematics or science. Brilliant minds spent decades memorizing texts instead of solving practical problems. When crisis finally forced change, the response was fragmented. Regional leaders like Zheng Guofan and Li Hongzheng built modern arsenals, but they operated independently. There was no coordinated national industrialization strategy. The financial cost of ignoring industrialization was staggering. The Opium War indemnities alone totaled millions of silver taels, money that could have built factories, railroads, and schools. Instead, it flowed to foreign powers. China's population, once an economic advantage, became a liability without industrial jobs. Millions remained in subsistence agriculture while European factories created wealth. The demographic dividend became a burden. The military consequences extended beyond weapons. Industrialization enabled mass production of uniforms, canned food, and medical supplies. It created railroads for troop movement, telegraphs for communication. China lacked all these. Even when China began importing technology, it remained dependent. Machines broke down without technicians to repair them. Ammunition ran out without domestic production. This dependency made modernization superficial. The psychological impact was profound. For centuries, Chinese had believed in their cultural superiority. Defeat by technologically superior barbarians created a crisis of confidence that would shape Chinese thinking for generations. This history raises difficult questions about cultural preservation versus adaptation. How much tradition should be sacrificed for progress? The Qing chose preservation and paid the price. Later generations would choose differently. The parallels to today are striking. Nations now face their own technological revolutions: AI, biotechnology, renewable energy. The same questions apply: adapt or be left behind, learn from others or retreat into tradition. China's eventual recovery in the 20th century required brutally discarding tradition. The communist industrialization under Mao, despite its costs, achieved what the Qing couldn't, transforming an agricultural society into an industrial power. Today, China leads in many technologies: high-speed rail, 5G, quantum computing. The lesson was learned, though at terrible cost. The question remains, could it have been different? Could China have industrialized without a century of humiliation? The Qing dynasty's fatal mistake wasn't just ignoring machines. It was ignoring a fundamental truth: technological progress changes everything. Military power, economic wealth, even cultural influence all depend on embracing change. As we face our own technological revolutions, the Qing story offers warning and wisdom. Progress requires humility to learn from others, courage to change traditions, and vision to see beyond immediate comforts. The price of ignoring change is decline. The Oriental orator explores how ancient decisions shape modern realities. If you found this analysis compelling, subscribe for more deep dives into Chinese history. Next week, how the Silk Road connected civilizations long before globalization.